That's right. Live. It's live. Takes a few seconds for it to really be live. So, yeah, I'm going to have a hangout tomorrow. There's supposed to be audio. I have comments coming in from anti-feminists. I commented on a couple anti-feminist videos. So, all right, everything confirmed working. Can you hear my voice? They're echoing. Was that? Hello. So anyway, we got a couple. It's like an earthquake there. Couple subjects I want to talk about tomorrow. One is I want to go back to basics on the issue of epistemology and ontology, what a lot of people, not that many actually, would call ontology, what really exists in the universe. And to me, that's an open question. The real issue with epistemology is, what do we know about what exists? What exists for us? What are we working with? Because everything we know, of course, comes from things we could work with. That goes without saying. And this is the information we get through our feelings and perceptions, including the so-called sense perceptions, but also all the feelings. So people can think that an emotion is a useless feeling. The information is counterproductive, but there's definitely information there, even if somebody has a theory that it's all negative. So taking the whole set together, that's what we're working from. And I'd rather start from first principles than continue to discuss this idea about objects. The answers are simple. No, there are no objects. Is there a property? No. Can I say that the orange was sorted into the apple box or not? Yeah, but that means it's not intrinsic in the orange. So we can work from first principles on that. So we'll do that. Meaning, if I have to extemporaneously describe the situation, I'll do that. The other subject is feminism, but specifically this anti-internet feminism thing. And a lot of people, more and more young people, are like, but on Instagram, you should see these feminists. I hate them. You could see on Instagram, oh, they're terrible. It's like that. To me, feminism is represented by the feminists that have showed up at all the political activities that I've taken part in, where none of them were particularly feminist activities, supporting liberal candidates, anti-war, protect People's Park, you name it. There's feminists in the ranks making things happen. So, yeah, I buy their claim that they're here for civil equality and social justice in general, because they're showing up at all these other social justice things. And my opportunity to help out feminists directly, protesting, restrictions of abortion or something like that, are relatively limited, to the degree that in my lifetime there has been some basic success in women's issues like that. And I don't live in a southern state where they're stamping out Planned Parenthood or something. But those issues definitely still exist. And also internationally, I watch some of these Sargon and, various, who they are, Just Carly's guys that are so anti-feminist. And it's just like one of the memes that's developing among their thing there is sounds like a first world problem, which to me sounds like when the house slave complains, you go, whoa, sounds like a house slave problem. I mean, yeah, it's a problem, but there's worse problems. And people follow up, like this dude Workhorse. He was just, and a lot of them do this. It's like, well, they should see what it's like to be raped. They should have to go to Saudi Arabia and see what it's like to be abused. The subtext being the way we teach women and to not be shrill is abuse them. Then they'll know they have it lucky. Thus, I have proved that feminism is pointless. But, you know, so, you know, I don't see any of these guys talking about first world problems saying that's why I'm an international feminist. You know, but I did see one of them complaining about that Harry Potter actress giving a speech at the UN, and she talked about the international situation, and she talked about the problem of male suicide, which is a true men's activism issue. If men's activism was true, and when it's true, let's say, if it could be, hypothetically, if that ever happens. She was talking about the international situation. So, you know, you can't really go, oh, well, this is just women, individuals I don't like, you know, because if you pick an individual, of course there's individuals, but then you choose who you want to represent a concept that is not a person that walks around and was born with two parents, but it's a concept, you know, and you can't really deny that we had a problem with basic women's rights. And really, instead of reacting like, well, it's gone far enough, you need to embrace, in my view, in our view, let's say, the idea that it's not just how women, it's not just women's property rights and things like that that were obvious. It's also the way we treat little boys. You know, a little boy is not supposed to say sorry and be, you know, conciliatory, and a little girl is. Well, that's a problem for a little boy that's a nice person that wants to just be nice. These roles, it's a superstructure. It's a whole social structure. It has to do with everybody's role in society and sort of a certain, what I think of as a malignant kind of malevolent take on how we all ought to interact and how we should think of each other. And I think trying to tell boys they're all supposed to be the dominant male on the football team or whatever is seriously damaging to males, and that's a part of what you would call patriarchy or strict father politics. And a lot of the point is a lot of these stereotypes and roles that we think by using these roles and the way we think they relate. Sometimes we tell ourselves we don't particularly believe it, but that's how society believes, and we end up using that same mathematics for some reason, practical reason, whatever. We're constantly using these, and it's pretty clear that that is going on. And, you know, in the case of a woman that in particular might have had it easy, though I think that actress, as a child actress, probably worked pretty hard for a kid, a lot harder than most kids. That's usually the case for a child actress or any actress. It is hard work, in my, you know, seems to me. But there are some privileged people that might want to take advantage of the fact that there's been victimhood, and instead of speaking up as a voice for the victims, act like the victim themselves. Some of this is gimmick, some of it is psychology, whatever, you know. I don't think it's legit. I'm not going to buy if you misunderstand a whole concept of social situation and social change on purpose, it seems to be, by magnifying certain personalities, is trying to characterize the concept with these personalities, when in reality it's still quite clear in the world what is the meaning of feminism. You know, we are, until the whole world, because we are one system, until the whole world has a lot more clarity on this subject, it's ridiculous to say, oh, well, it's not even an issue. Human rights is specific enough. No, because what it is in activism, in most of the people that are anti-feminist, they have no idea of trying to change the world or activism or doing political work and what kind of kickback you really get. There's internet blowharding most of this whole phenomenon. In fact, I don't even consider it as directly relating to actual feminism mostly, but it is significant. But it's a blowhardy kind of thing. But anyway, what they don't realize is if you're actually doing a social action, uh, then that's different than just professing what you allegedly, believe, and having a big uh, what's that Japanese kabuki argument with people is really a self-indulgent thing done for your own uh, enjoyment. And when it comes to feminism, we have a situation where in activism, you can't just say, well, everything should be better. What do you mean? Just everything? That's not specific enough. You have to have the point of the spear. You have to have the particular things that at that moment can be focused on as a priority. And there might be a dozen or a half dozen or hundreds of candidates for which would be the best. Sometimes it's the most egregious thing. That's often what attracts attention. But it could be that time would be better spent on something more subtle that would release some sort of a, subtle but fundamental cultural tension and cause other more noticeable things to get better. So there's a lot of debate in what the point of the spear should be. But when you're coming to gender equality, men getting a paternity leave, being acceptable, be afraid or be protected by other men or women, or any of these social or practical gender fairness kinds of things, boys that want to play with dolls, gender fairness, that is likely to come from pursuing the point of the spear, feminism, at the moment. Now, in 100 years, in 1,000 years, I don't know. Tell me when at least half the world has a sane policy about the differences between the gender and a fair enough understanding of what really might be the difference and what legally is not allowed to be differentiated, like owning property, driving, things like that. So, get back when the world's at least halfway to that point legally. And even then, it's like this whole social question is not something that is legislated. And people have the right to have their own opinions, which to a certain degree means you wait till they die for change to actually come. And even then slowly, because of their influence on their progeny. So, I'm willing to be patient for that process to happen, but I'm not willing for people to say that everything's fine because, now women can inherit property. It's not actually the whole story as far as I'm concerned. You might do some thinking about what the real position on the other side is, why a man might say, hey, I'm not going to run away from the term feminism, fuck you. And not be like man hating. Well, I hate men and trying to better. It's just, you could probably figure out a better reason that I might have my position, even though you still probably would disagree with it once you figured that out. It is possible. And being in denial about it is just sort of makes you look desperate, like you don't really have faith in your own actual position as compared to other people's position. You have to malign and misdiagnose their position to an extreme degree, and then try to pick out individuals that you think show these personality characteristics that you want to attribute to all of your opponents. Well, that's not going to work. You're fooling yourself. You're in denial. If you think that that's going to work, it's not a very astute political move. As far as I know. So anyway, tomorrow at 4, I will do the hangout. Cheers.